I am back as promised. Just arranging my notes. Tidy my hair. Hello. Thank you for joining me. I have quite a lot of notes to share about August now. So I'll begin. Yeah, pop your hello and name in the chat and where you are from. All right, so I was thinking how I probably should sometimes introduce myself, because I have this, because my channel's called Inner Sanctum NZ, and my name is Sharon Martin, and Inner Sanctum is, in a way, it's like this womb space, this creative space, the interior space that I commune with spirit, with God, with nature, and it's the cave of Gaia. So that's why I called it this, and it's been my privilege and pleasure to be bringing through this information more and more, and to be here on this platform. It's dark. Are you talking about what you can or cannot see, Sheridan? It might be at your end. I'm in daylight here, and I have a light on as well. And what I can see is pretty much what will be being showing up. Is anyone else having that? Let me just check then. No image. No image. Interesting. Okay, well, let me... Is there anyone else here who can verify whether they can see me or not before I end the stream and come back in? Could someone else let me know in the chat? Okay, it might be at your end, Sheridan. Thank you, Mike. Maybe Sheridan, try closing out and then come back in. Oh yes, thank you. That's what Mike just said. Try refreshing the page. There are some interesting things going on with technology at the moment. It's I would imagine that these frequencies will be sort of interfering and running cross-check, against the stream, or putting pressure on systems. That's kind of our experience as well. So I can't think what happened yesterday when I was working with my IT guy, but we did come across a couple of occasions actually during the day when we were like, that is very strange. All right, so I will begin, and thank you for joining me here. Are you right, Sheridan? Okay, good, excellent, wonderful, thank you. Hi, Charlotte, welcome. All right. So, yeah, this light, I have to say, I began to see this sort of as like a warming up to August, really. In the last couple of days of July, that's how it felt to me, as though we were been given a bit of a prelude to what would come, and that it is building every day. I did release a short video a couple of hours ago, I think earlier anyway, about the Lion's Gate in particular. So I won't reference too much of that, but go and have a listen. So this light that's coming in now, I am shown that it holds great illumination, and as though it came through like this, as though it's this opportunity for this global epiphany or realization, that will come with, and I'm looking forward to watching and observing this with aha moments everywhere, creating widespread clarity in the mental mind of humanity. So isn't that what we all want, for people to, be awakening and being given this clarity to see through? Because there's been all sorts of interference and intervention to kind of hold us with these veils over our consciousness and over our ability to see and sense and feel truth. And as more of the population awakens, it does have this rippling out effect. So, the more that we awaken, the more that we raise our level of consciousness, it becomes a blanketing kind of effect on the rest of humanity. And so that it's more easy for the veils to be taken away, and for them to see the truth. And there's some challenging times to come around that. It's not going to be easy for any of us, but I've got some strategies to give you from Gaia about that today. Okay, so yes, all right. So my lovely Romanian friend, remind me of your name again, please. Okay. So yeah, so this is it's like the blinds are up and we can have our eyes wide open. This is the place, the situation that we are able to be in through this energy. Um, that it's going to bring us hope and faith, or bring humanity hope and faith for and in our future, this forward focus and a lot of the burden falling away. So always we can witness, those of us who have access to the higher dimensions, we can witness things occurring in those higher dimensional spaces, and it takes a bit before it filters through down into the physical. So I can't remember exactly when, but I do remember saying how the third dimensional matrix in the etheric was depixelating and had begun to dissolve, and it was kind of just in these little, it was like seeing tiny dots of a whole image that was just all dissipating, and that then had to drop in. And I feel that although we have physical, tangible, three-dimensional stuff, our three-dimensional matrix, it has much of it has dissolved here in the physical, tangible way of expression, the energies of it. So I wrote that even though we might not see the clarity in the collective just yet, that there's this vibrational upliftment coming in the collective, Um, and that's the thing that's perhaps more useful at this moment. So it's the poignancy of being able to be in a higher vibration, to have greater clarity of what is, rather than the importance that we may have placed on this ability to see what's happened. And so that's definitely what I was being shown. It's kind of hard to explain until I'm remembering back to then, because this is a week or so ago I wrote 4 or 5 days ago that I wrote this part. So it's the idea that this vibration is helping lift the collective in their frequency, but without necessarily giving them clarity about what's been going on, because a lot of this realization of what has been going on is likely to lower vibration. And I guess that Gaia and I have been speaking about that for a little while now, that's a fairly important component of our ascension, is this vibratory level that we are resonating at. So we are at that point. Just I think it's good for us to be aware of that, to hold space for that, for the level of vibration of consciousness to raise up, even if it is that those people who are just awakening do not see all of the, the revealings, the truth of this story, this narrative, this play, this movie, whatever that we've been part of. Also, that there would, at the moment, we're having very strong DNA activation, smoothing, reconnection, and correction. So it's been my perception and what I've been shown really over probably the last, what I'm like with time, 18 months, say, that this that the DNA strandings have been having this internal work being done on them through the quickest way I can say it is, what comes from the sun comes into the body, into our crystalline nature, into the crystalline earth grids, into our crystalline earth star chakra, up into our system, into our spinal fluids, and it has that effect. And so that's a very strong focus, even though many of you may have already received some of that. That's a very strong focus for anyone who is awakening at the moment, to be receiving some of that. I want to say that as we go through this planetary ascension, it is this physical experience that we're going through. And so what's happening during this Lion's Gate is definitely more warm up. It's definitely the stronger, more intensive training that our bodies are being taken through in preparation for this. And what I'm showing is that we are all likely to have different experiences of this, because we have different levels of awakening, we have different levels of sensitivity, we have different skills, experiences, history, cellular memory, and that we will likely feel it in a very physical way. It may even be that we hear a noise. It may be that we see a flash. It may be that we feel even this Lionsgate movement in our bodies. These sort of paradigm shifts, if you like. The earth is likely to have some rumbles and some shakes. Our solar plexus, if you like, is like the fire in our bodies. It's being heated up, and this fire energy of the Leo is helping, or of the Lion's Gate, the Leo energy is helping with that. This is our, if you want to see this as our, this ball of fire, this is our solar plexus. It's where we hold our inner child energy. And so this is an important part of our coming into balance at this time, coming into balance with our feminine, our masculine, and our divine inner child, this sort of triadic connection, so that each of those is in balance and harmony, and each of those aspects is healed and whole. But yeah, just to remember that, and that links into the center of the earth heating up, but it's not so much volcanic action. That's not what I'm showing, even though we may have some volcanic action. That's a release. It's this expansion. That's what the solar plexus in the center of the earth is. The effect of that heating up is through expansion. So that heat sort of increases that. I do want to do some more research on this, so I don't want you to panic about this. But I am going to share with you, because I'd be really interested to hear feedback if any of you have come across anything like this or know of this in your own work. Is that I had this experience. I got shown this experience on the last day of July, and it was as though I could hear this noise coming from the earth. But it was the noise, if you have to kind of have some experience of being on a boat or a ship, or not a well, yeah, I think probably a bigger boat. So this is often what you hear when you're coming into the wharf, and the boat's in low gear and it's in forward, and then it has to be shifted into reverse to make sure it doesn't hit the pylons or hit the edge of the wharf. It's sometimes it's those judgments are fine to make, and it's that noise, and it's the, I don't know what you even call it, the drive shaft, the transmission, the yeah, I don't know, but it's this kind of clunky noise as two pieces of metal are coming into a stop and a movement the other way. And that was what I heard when I was tuning in about the planet. So now I'm a little bit curious. I mean, we've had all sorts of planetary changes while I've been doing this work with Gaia, but that to me was an indication, and it definitely is a possibility that the planet's going to change direction of spin. That's definitely what that movement, that noise was, the information that I was being given. When I did ask Gaia about that, she said it is a possibility, but I haven't gone deeper with her about that yet. But I'm just throwing that out there, not as a panic, just as a piece of information. We can see what comes of that. Okay. So these energies, they are showing up to me almost as though like a whale spurt at the moment. So these energies from the lion's gate, they're coming into the earth and up, and then coming over like an umbrella, as though, it feels like we're getting double the energies. We get them once, and then it's like they're coming back into us again. It's the sense of this eternal flow, this notion of this internal and external, the individual and the whole, the unity, and through the heart, through the solar plexus, and through the fire energy. This powerful flow and return effect. In terms of our kind of physical world, what I've been shown this month is that systemic and structural collapse will begin to be obvious on a grander scale. We'll watch this process of things swapping out the old and the new coming in. And it will be clear and obvious. I mean, we've already been witnessing some of the collapse of things in structure. What Gaia spoke about for July was this beginning, the deficits, the deficiencies would show, that we'd see shifting in government, we would see deficits in health, and we would see this collapse in economics. That has not been so obvious, although many of you may be aware that there are things kind of almost like rumours on the ethers of things having happened in the background, and that's my perception, is that there are things that have gone on that we don't yet know about, that are things that are set in place. Yes, that we are likely to see more public contrast. That's really the way I want to describe it, between what we would say is our kind of legal system and common law, that there's going to be more debate, more exchange, more conversation about that as the legal system becomes sort of obvious in its collapse across the system in a variety of ways. And education is likely to begin to have a similar grand reveal. That's what I am showing. The health system is going to continue to show up as being lacking and lackluster. So more people will begin to seek other ways of operating in terms of education, health, and the law. And we know that those systems already exist, but that's going to become more common. More people will become more aware of it. That kind of movement. So Gaia said that it would be a useful analogy for us would be to imagine that we are the cat. So she said, let us use the analogy of the cat, and that we should observe how they rest, observe how they move, and observe how they stretch. So you're invited to become cat-like. It is as it will assist these energies to move through the body. Also to be barefoot, be moving on the ground in your bare feet to assist with grounding. That will help. These are possibly the biggest energies we have, and I think I can say that confidently, actually more confidently than that. These are the biggest energies we've ever had come into the planet, at least in the last couple of thousand years. And so just allow the body to be your guide, really. So these energies come in, allow them to come in, be in this allowance, be stretched, be wide open, to just allow them to come in, so that all of your cells become illumined, cleared, cleaned, expanded, and activated. We could and also be sort of envisioning this idea that we are entering a new sphere, this idea of coming into this beautiful parkland or nature wild, and to begin to be exploring that in our feelings body, in our sensory body, this idea of we're entering into the time of having an adventure. Hello, Larissa. Thank you very much. So you can envisage yourself becoming taller, stronger, and more capable, able to carry yourself, to lead the way, to become a leader at this time, speaking and acting from your heart, available to support, to give strength, to hold compassion and emanate love up and down through your body and into the earth and out to all around you. So that's humanity and nature. And as each of you become more aligned with the balancing of these energies, you will hold greater propensity to support those around you to do the same. So it's a little bit like emulating or modeling the way of being, the way of operating, the way of thinking, the way of moving, the way of communicating, the way of holding space. and it can have this energetic flow on effect. And this will support those around us to do the same, as here we are increasingly in the unknown. This never before seen or experienced energies, frequencies, light codes, and psychic gifts. So you may well be aware that there's, we're in that end cycle, aren't we? We were in that end cycle in Atlantis, and many of us were there in the closing or I always see Atlantis as this kind of involution experience, this collapse of Atlantis, the destruction of it, the self-destruction of it. We're at that same point in our evolutionary cycle, but we are not self-destructing this time. We are ascending. We're ascending in a physical form. We're taking our physical form with us into fifth dimensional space and our planet as well, returning to that place in the galaxy. But we are writing what was done. We are writing what we did incorrectly or inaccurately or unknowingly or deliberately. All of those things happened. And that's what we are writing now in our cellular existence and in our memories and in our healing. And so these will all be part of our expansion as we find new ways of navigating and new ways of being. And to remember that whilst you are a teacher, you do your teaching, this is how Gaia described it, as the way of this, in the way of the sage. So hold space, listen deeply, only answer the question asked. Allow others to set their own pace, their own level of inquiry, and their own subject matter. So this is really about how to prevent or slow down or reduce cognitive dissonance. There's so much to be revealed and uncovered and exposed. And those of you who have been or are parents, you may know the term overfacing, and that's the term that Gaia gave me today. So you'll know that we are advised when we're new parents and our children are coming into beginning to eat food when they come off the breast or off the bottle, to only give them small amounts, and that's so they're not overfaced. And so this is a way for us to be in reminder of when we are dealing with people who are just awakening, that they are like that. They are like the toddler who is just beginning to experience the new tastes, new flavors, new textures, and that's what awakening people will be in the midst of. And so we're encouraged to remember not to overface them, to not, and I am guilty of having done this, but to not run off and say all that we know or understand, but to be the receiver of the questions and only answer the question. And it's just useful to remember that term overfacing when we're speaking, listening, and dealing with others. And a gentle smile and a nod of the head can be a simple way to both exchange and encourage dialogue, because even the language that we use, those of us who are conscious, is new and it's unknown territory. So just be aware of that. So we are in readiness for closing out this 26,000 year cycle, and we are in the beginning motion of this, is what Gaia has described it as. So each of us is going through a solar plexus activation and heating, as is the Earth's core. So your solar plexus being catalyzed also, by the sun, as is the center of our Earth. And this time, it may also easily be perceived that we're in chaos, that there's carnage going on, and we may see many events and exposed as predicted. So there have been, there's been talk about there being a nuclear war or a nuclear bomb drop that's been out there. If you've been following me for a while, you'll remember a little while ago I said that will never happen here. That's my intel. That's what I'm shown and told. We won't ever have that occur because of our interrelationship with the galaxy, with the bigger planetary bodies, the universe, the omniverse, that what happens here has a catalyzing effect, a knock-on effect to the rest of the universe. And so that would be stopped, that would be prevented by off-planet beings. And the thing, and a friend reminded me about that on a thread that I'm on this morning, that may come out as a scare tactic. So I already had spoken about that a little while ago, but I just thought I'd throw that out there. The scare tactic that Gaia has spoken about recently is this alien invasion, that she sees that as a likely thing that'll be thrown into the mix. So for a number of years now, we've had millions of ships and craft around our planet. They've come to observe, to witness this ascension process, because it's exciting, it's amazing. It was thought that we would never ever get to this point where we could actually make it happen, because we've been in such density. And if you are here, thank you, because those of us who are here now, we came with great love for Gaia, for the planet, and it's a big ask. And what we have done is rather miraculous, as this planet has been lifted out of this lower density, and we're moving back into this crystalline light. Oh yes, so this was the analogy about us, about why we're important. So it's like we are this ant on the body of the multiverse, but we have a role to play. So we're a very special planet. We're a very special little ant. We're unique and we hold special DNA codes. And so we will not be allowed to be exterminated. We're precious. So we are linked to and our well-being is linked to, is paramount really to the well-being of the universe, the multiverse, the omniverse. And there is much excitement about our ascension, and we should get on that wave of being excited about it, as well as our evolution, our return to being the jewel in the crown of the universe. And so I wanted to read this poem that Gaia gave me in December of 2021, which is not that page. I'll read it from here. I should have got rid of those other documents. Okay, we are ascending. There is an inner glow in the earth, a higher radiance, a pulsating light. Gaia is singing. There is a karanga. A karanga is a Māori word, and so it's a specific word to our land here in New Zealand, Aotearoa, and it means a calling. So when you visit the marae, which is the traditional meeting place or space, a woman calls the karanga for you to move towards the gate. So it was a beautiful, holds a beautiful place in this poem. There is a karanga, a calling out to the universe. Honestly, I don't know about you, but I really feel this rising up as I'm speaking this. So this poem came through to me, 7-8 months ago now. Sorry. A calling out to the universe. Come, witness my splendor, my sparkling grace, my new magnificence. Come celebrate my majesty, my new arising, my return to glory, to my former jewel placement in the crown of the universe. And that's where we are at. I want to speak to you about, are you ascending? I kind of wrote that question out. So I want to speak about this briefly. It's really complex, and I don't claim I do not claim to know all the ins and outs of it, but I do know what I've been shown, and and we have each come here. We've created our own soul contract. We came here for purpose, for individual purpose, for collective purpose, for universal purpose, and yet we have free will. So I believe that we have, you could say that on our, this is how I see it, it's like that our soul has little engraving codes and nodes and notches. And so we have created some times and spaces in our lineal traversing of being an earthling and being in human form here, and that has particular events and connections that we will have while we are here, and that we decided how we will ascend and sort of in what order or what timing. And some people may ascend through the natural process of death, so they may have chosen that. Some people will ascend through their physical transmigration, this shifting this carbon solid body into a crystalline solid body that's more light filled, that's more expanded, that has more gifts. And some people may choose to be or will be taken off planet and returned after the solar flash. The solar flash is going to impact each of us, and this is our training work so that we can have the experience that we've chosen to have. But basically, what my information about it is that if you chose to ascend, that you will, and that they'll, probably, I think that I've written about 12 different ways that we could go from this dimensional space to the next. That there are some people who will have soul walkers, there are some people who will have soul exchanges, there are people who will land in our new dimensional world without going through the birthing process. I've definitely been shown that. But those people who are here now, our job is this is what Gaia has been calling Ascension fitness. These codes coming in that have been tempering the body. It is like training for the marathon. So you don't go out and run a whole marathon the first day that you go in preparation. You begin by running a K or running 10 Ks or wherever your level is at. You stretch the body, you nutrient the body differently, you get into your psychological training so you can move through the hard times. And it's a pretty good parallel really to our preparation and running a marathon, to this whole ascension process. We have free will. We can move off and move back onto the track. We can have human experiences. maybe this was a bit of a revelation for me. It made a big shift for me when I read something about talking that, maybe some beings came here to Earth to have a holiday. They didn't come here to ascend, to worry about consciousness or any of that. And so each of us has chosen our experience, even the children, the babies who are here. Well, they've chosen their experience, but many of them are already at that frequency. You can see they hold that crystalline energy, they hold the angelic codes. All of the children who have been arriving on our planet for the last decade or so, they're here to be our teachers. And so they all know. So you don't need to worry about your children or your grandchildren or your partner or your friends or your neighbors. Everybody has chosen their own experience for their own purpose. So some will come into our new dimensional space, some will do it with the planet, some will go away from the planet and come back, and some will leave the planet and carry on having a physical third dimensional existence because that's the experience that they choose to have. Some will die through that normal process and go on to do other things. And some will die and return in soul form into a new body in our new dimensional space. But there's nothing to be worried about. Don't get into any worry or concern about it. You focus on you, your own well-being, your own balance, and your own journey. So, in closing, what do I want to say? So we're having a fifth dimensional planetary ascension. We're moving back to our original position in the galaxy, which is further into the photonic belt, which is why we're receiving more of this and will receive more yet. But we are getting very close to the saturation of the photonic belt. Some are already working with higher dimensional frequencies. I'm talking more about the collective when I'm speaking, but the planet's going to have this fifth dimensional frequency. We'll go higher than that. Some people are already accessing their sixth dimensional, seventh dimensional gifts, frequencies, experiences. Those are definitely available to us as well, right up until the 12th dimensional places, experiences, frequencies. For me, that's how I'm showing. I'm showing that our galaxy doesn't go beyond the 12th dimension. And that doesn't mean I'm correct, but that's what I'm told. That's what I'm showing. That's my perception as well. When I've been out looking, that's what I see. And just remember that you are this incredible spiritual being having a physical experience on this planet with Gaia, and that there are many roles to be attended to. So everyone has their specialization. Some people are already, attending to realigning the grid lines. We've definitely got a new external set of fifth dimensional holding grid set of external and also internal. We've had all these connections up with sacred sites, etc. I think I've spoken about that before. Some people are doing sort of like the rewrite of some of the Atlantean codes and how that's impacted us at this time. And as individuals, people will have been doing their own work around that. Everyone has their part to play. You just have to keep asking your soul, yourself, what's here for me? What's next for me? What's my work? That's what we each have to do. And so strongly, in closing, strongly sit in your own presence. be the Buddha in the midst of the storm with the chaos going around you, but you are holding space and you are being your magnificent self, aligned and centered, balanced in your energetic and physical bodies, masculine, feminine, and divine child. And know that as you are streaming all this beautiful light and up leveling and uplifting your codes and your DNA stranding back to 12 strands of DNA, that you can be the template, the model for those around you by exemplifying it. And I know that there's, we're really close to the edges of our emotional body. These experiences of easily coming into tears, it's because we are really feeling the levels of our beautiful sensitivities in the world here at the moment. And the world is still a little bit harsh. So I send you all this love from my heart and from the heart of Gaia. And I have such incredible gratitude to you for the fact that you join me on these calls. And I'll just read the notes here in the comments before I close. Okay, that's good. I'm glad that you got that sorted, Sheridan. Welcome, Wild Grace. Welcome. Oh yes, Charlotte had some early issues as well. And Larissa is here. So Larissa, and who was it who said earlier? Was that you, Larissa, that you're by the Black Sea? What's the Black Sea experience? What's that water like? So Larissa is just saying, I didn't hear that metal sound, but in two different times, I hear two types of sounds, one composed from three sounds and the other one singular, but felt foreign and cosmic. Yeah, the whole sound thing is interesting, isn't it? I mean, the whole story of creation is that creation was a sound, right? In the beginning, there was the word, and we often refer to that word perhaps being the word om. And I know that when I hasn't been happening so much, but early in my work with Gaia, there would be people would in the last 2 years, people were being given their upgraded songs, their upgraded sounds, and she would be placing them into people's bodies as a sequence of notations. And so that sound was this upgrading of the energetic body, or of the soul, the heart notes. I think that's what they might have been referred to as. And also, Larissa's saying, noticed how her body worked on from a cellular level, like a new suit is made on her in real time, like her nervous system. She feels more and her heart feels new. That is such a beautiful description. Thank you so much for sharing that. Isn't that amazing to feel into that experience? Yes, she says she feels expanded, stretched, and upgraded. That word "stretched" is definitely something that I have been, having passed my lips in terms of witnessing experiences. That we are being stretched. Welcome, Ashley. She glad to have made this live. Yeah, so I've just got shivers all over my body. I am feeling very blessed to be here with you, and blessed to be here on the planet at this time. And the imagery that I was showing when I was talking to you before, sorry, I didn't mention that was channeled from Gaia, this idea of you becoming this bigger being. It showed up as everybody being, if you think of white, crystalline, slightly opaque crystal structure, that's how everybody was shown as becoming at this time. That's what this light is creating us into being. And we're very tall. We're very tall, and so this is our structure. So we're tall and we're purified, and we're in, it's very angelic to observe this form that she was showing me we are in the becoming of. Yeah, so welcome into the energies of the Lion's Gate, which are going to be incredibly transforming for us, for the planet, for humanity. And we may still have some of these experiences that have been spoken about here on this channel with Gaia and in other places, where we have blackouts through power or internet, or also the aspect of blackout that Gaia has spoken about, that I haven't heard anywhere else, is this idea that we might have particles that are magnetized that create a strong filter of sunlight, and so our earth has goes into darkness that way. So we might still have that. To me, August feels like this, like we're really coming into the being under the pump, the diamond being formed by the compression or the pressure. It does feel like we're coming into more pressure, but at the same time we're coming into expansion, we're coming into this illumination, we're being risen up, and it's massive. It feels like there's going to be this huge month, and really in a way you could see that these energies, that there's more to come, and I'm sure that I'll be given more. But it's exciting, and who knows the timing of this ascension. The timing of this ascension, as us and our planetary body Earth, is all about the awakening, the arising, the arousal of the collective. So when enough of the collective is awake, and light-filled, conscious, then that allows us as a planet to move. It's this micro and macro, we are intertwined, us, Gaia, the planet, and so we are each holding space for the other. We are each in this dance as we evolve and become more expanded and more conscious, and so those of us who are at that place, it is our role, should you choose to hold that space, to remember to be the seer, to answer the questions, but just as they are asked. And you can think of that as well as this idea of, if a 3-year-old asked you a question, would you give them university style notes, even though some of our 3-year-olds would actually understand that. Anyway, much love, and I'll catch you again soon. Thank you for joining me.